Lauren Sánchez turns heads in Paris. But this moment is about much more than fashion. It begins not with a flashbulb, not with applause, but with a quiet walk into one of the most exclusive rooms on earth. Paris Haute Couture Fashion Week. A place where power doesn't speak loudly. It whispers. And on this particular evening, all eyes followed a woman in red. Lauren Sánchez stepped into the Schiaparelli show wearing a sharply tailored red skirt suit. Structured. Bold. Impossible to ignore. A color long associated with confidence, control, and calculated visibility. Not accidental. Not impulsive. Not random. Red is not worn quietly in Paris. Beside her walked Jeff Bezos, one of the most powerful men of the modern era. Billionaire. Founder. Disruptor. A man who reshaped how the world shops, works, and consumes. But tonight, he was not leading. They were holding hands. That detail mattered. In a world where wealth often creates distance, this gesture closed the gap. It sent a message without words. Unity, certainty, permanence, and perhaps defiance. Because every appearance like this carries history. Lauren Sánchez did not arrive at this moment overnight. Her public life spans decades, shaped by ambition, reinvention, controversy, and resilience. Once known primarily as a television journalist and media personality, she later became a helicopter pilot, a businesswoman, and eventually, a figure at the center of one of the most scrutinized relationships of the modern celebrity era. When her relationship with Jeff Bezos first became public, it wasn't revealed on a red carpet or in a glossy magazine. It emerged through headlines, leaked messages, and the collapse of 2 long marriages. The coverage was relentless, harsh, often unforgiving. And yet here she was, Paris, Haute Couture, hand in hand. This is how reputations are rebuilt in plain sight. Schiaparelli was not a random choice. The fashion house is known for surrealism, strength, and sculptural design. It celebrates women who command attention rather than ask for permission. Wearing Schiaparelli is a statement. It says, "I know exactly where I am." Lauren Sánchez understood that. Her red suit was tailored, not revealing. Assertive without being aggressive. Feminine without apology. It balanced authority and allure in a way that fashion critics immediately noticed. The message was subtle but clear. This was not about shock. This was about control. Jeff Bezos, dressed more traditionally, allowed her to take visual dominance. Another quiet decision. Another signal. Power doesn't always need to stand in front. Sometimes it stands beside. The cameras captured every step, every glance, every synchronized movement. And across social media, the reactions were immediate. Admiration, curiosity, criticism, fascination. Because people weren't just watching an outfit, they were watching a transformation. Once portrayed as a controversial figure, Lauren Sánchez has gradually repositioned herself as a confident partner, a visible presence in elite circles, and a woman unbothered by past narratives. This appearance wasn't defensive. It wasn't reactive. It was deliberate. And Paris understands deliberation. Haute Couture Fashion Week is not for the casual observer. It is invitation only. Attendance alone signals status. To be seated at Schiaparelli is to be recognized by fashion's most guarded gatekeepers. And to arrive hand in hand with Jeff Bezos is to announce that this relationship is not hiding. It is not apologizing. It is not retreating. It is standing still and letting the world look. Hollywood has always loved reinvention stories. But this one unfolds differently. There are no tearful interviews. No redemption speeches. No explanations. Just presence. Lauren Sánchez doesn't speak much at these events. She doesn't need to. Her body language does the work. Her posture. Her gaze. Her ease in rooms once reserved for legacy elites. And Jeff Bezos, once famously private, now seems comfortable in visibility. A man who once avoided celebrity culture now walks willingly into it. Not as a spectacle, but as a participant. This relationship changed both of them. For Bezos, it marked a shift from corporate anonymity to personal branding. For Sanchez, it elevated her into global visibility at a level few ever experience. Together, they navigate a space where wealth, fame, and scrutiny collide. And Paris was watching. Fashion critics dissected the outfit. Cultural commentators analyzed the symbolism. Audiences debated authenticity. But beneath it all was a deeper fascination. What does power look like when it is shared? In the past, billionaire partners were often invisible, private, removed. Lauren Sánchez is none of those things. She is present, active, visible. She stands beside Jeff Bezos not as an accessory, but as a partner with her own narrative. That makes people uncomfortable because it challenges expectations. This is not the quiet partner archetype. This is a woman who commands attention in a room filled with it. And she does so without asking permission from public opinion. At Schiaparelli, the designs on the runway were dramatic. Sculpted silhouettes, gold accents, high art masquerading as clothing. But even amid all that spectacle, the audience kept glancing toward the front row, toward the woman in red, toward the couple holding hands, toward a moment that symbolized how public perception can be reshaped not through words, but through consistency. This wasn't a performance. It was a declaration. Lauren Sánchez and Jeff Bezos didn't speak to the press that night. They didn't issue statements. They didn't correct narratives. They simply showed up, together, exactly where they wanted to be. And sometimes, that's the most powerful response of all. Because in Hollywood, in fashion, and in elite society, silence paired with presence speaks louder than explanation. As the show ended and the lights dimmed, the images traveled faster than any runway model. Across screens, across continents, across conversations. A woman in red, a billionaire at her side. Hands intertwined. Not hiding, not retreating, not asking. Just standing there, letting the world decide what to think. And reminding everyone that image, when controlled, can be destiny. Paris wakes up early when history is about to walk through the door. On Monday morning, before the city had fully stretched awake, before cafe chairs were aligned on narrow sidewalks and shutters rolled upward across stone buildings, a quiet anticipation filled the air around Place Vendôme. The kind of anticipation reserved not for tourists, but for insiders, editors, designers, power brokers, observers who understand that fashion at this level is not about clothing. It is about control. At exactly 10 a.m., Paris Haute Couture Week began its first of 49 shows, spread across 4 consecutive days. A ritual older than most modern celebrities. A calendar that dictates who matters this season and who does not. And opening that schedule was Schiaparelli, a house synonymous with boldness, symbolism, and unapologetic spectacle. But before a single model stepped onto the runway, before the lights dimmed or the music began, attention shifted elsewhere. Toward the front row. Toward a woman dressed in red. Lauren Sánchez arrived hand in hand with her husband, billionaire Jeff Bezos, and in that moment, the runway quietly lost its monopoly on drama. She did not rush. She did not hide. She did not scan the room for approval. Instead, she moved with a calm certainty, as if she understood something fundamental about spaces like this. That attention does not need to be chased. It simply needs to be invited. At 56 years old, Lauren Sánchez stood out immediately in a vibrant red skirt suit. Not a playful red, not a romantic red, but a structured, commanding red. The kind of color that refuses to blend in, especially in a room full of black, beige, ivory, and quiet luxury. Red is a dangerous choice in Paris. It announces presence. It demands interpretation. And it never apologizes. The suit was sharply tailored, clean in line, confident in form. Paired with matching red heels, it created a visual statement that could not be ignored, especially in the morning light, when haute couture crowds are at their most observant and least forgiving. Lauren Sánchez was not dressed to disappear. She was dressed to be remembered. As she mingled briefly with fellow guests outside the venue, cameras captured every angle. The conversations were polite, the smiles measured. There was no chaos. No frenzy. Just a slow realization rippling through the crowd. This was not just a fashion appearance. This was a public declaration. Jeff Bezos walked beside her, composed, understated, almost deliberately muted in contrast. One of the wealthiest men in the world, a man whose decisions influence global economies, supply chains, and space exploration, choosing not to dominate the visual narrative. Instead, he held her hand. That detail mattered more than most people realized. Because power, when it feels secure, does not need to prove itself. Lauren Sánchez and Jeff Bezos have been watched, analyzed, criticized, and speculated about since the earliest days of their relationship becoming public. Their story did not begin with romance magazine exclusives or carefully staged red carpet debuts. It began with headlines, with controversy, with public scrutiny that rarely shows mercy. When their relationship first surfaced, it arrived alongside the collapse of 2 marriages and a media storm that framed the narrative long before either party spoke publicly. The coverage was intense, often harsh, sometimes cruel, and largely uninterested in nuance. Lauren Sánchez, in particular, became a focal point. She was judged not just as a partner, but as a symbol. A woman stepping into proximity with immense wealth and power. A woman whose ambition, confidence, and visibility made certain audiences uncomfortable. And yet, years later, here she stood. Front row. Haute Couture. Paris. No explanations. No apologies. Just presence. Fashion Week is not simply about designers showing clothes. At the highest level, it is a social performance. Seating arrangements signal hierarchy. Invitations indicate acceptance. Who arrives together, who arrives alone, who is photographed, and who is quietly ignored. All of it forms a silent language spoken fluently by insiders. Lauren Sánchez being seated front row at Schiaparelli was not accidental. Schiaparelli is a house that celebrates strong women, surreal beauty, and unapologetic expression. It favors bold shapes, symbolic detail, and designs that blur the line between art and power. For a woman navigating public perception, image control, and elite access, it was a precise choice. This was alignment. And alignment, in Hollywood and high society, is everything. As Lauren Sánchez made her way inside, the red of her suit contrasted sharply with the muted architecture and neutral tones around her. It was as if she had stepped out of the background entirely. A visual reminder that she no longer occupies the margins of elite culture. She is seated at the center. And this did not happen by accident. Lauren Sánchez's journey to this moment spans decades. Long before her name became synonymous with one of the world's most powerful men, she built a career in broadcast journalism, morning television, entertainment reporting, a world that rewards charm, resilience, and the ability to remain composed under constant observation. She learned early how to perform confidence. She learned how to manage scrutiny. She learned how to stay standing when attention turns sharp. Those skills do not disappear. They evolve. In recent years, Lauren Sánchez has quietly repositioned herself. Helicopter pilot, aviation entrepreneur, philanthropic involvement, strategic public appearances, carefully chosen fashion moments. Not frequent, not excessive, but deliberate. Each appearance builds a narrative. And in Paris, that narrative reached a new chapter. The timing mattered. Morning shows at Fashion Week are traditionally more serious. Less party, more industry. Editors are alert. Critics are focused. The energy is restrained. To open Haute Couture Week at 10 a.m. is to invite judgment at its most precise. Lauren Sánchez walked directly into that. Unflinching. Jeff Bezos, often described as a man reshaping his public identity in recent years, appeared relaxed. Gone is the reclusive executive persona. In its place, a figure increasingly comfortable in cultural spaces once distant from his world of algorithms and logistics. Together, they represent a new kind of power couple, not rooted in Hollywood stardom alone, not confined to corporate dominance, but occupying a hybrid space where wealth, celebrity, influence, and aesthetics intersect. And that intersection unsettles people, because it challenges familiar scripts. In traditional narratives, partners of billionaires are expected to be discreet, subtle, almost invisible. Lauren Sánchez defies that expectation simply by existing visibly and unapologetically. She does not hide behind Jeff Bezos. She walks beside him. That distinction is crucial. As the Schiaparelli show unfolded inside, models emerged in dramatic silhouettes and sculptural designs. Gold accents, exaggerated forms, couture as spectacle. But even as cameras focused on the runway, the presence of Lauren Sánchez lingered in the room. Observers whispered. Phones discreetly lifted. Social media began to buzz. Fashion journalists commented on the color choice. Cultural critics analyzed the symbolism. Audiences debated intent. Was it confidence, defiance, celebration, or something else entirely? But perhaps the simplest explanation is the most accurate. Lauren Sánchez dressed exactly how she wanted to. And in a world where women are constantly asked to justify their visibility, that alone is a statement. The controversy surrounding her has never truly been about fashion, or even about relationships. It has been about autonomy, about who is allowed to occupy powerful spaces without apology. By appearing at Schiaparelli, front row, hand in hand with Jeff Bezos, Lauren Sánchez did not rewrite the past. She simply refused to live inside it. Hollywood loves redemption arcs, public apologies, tearful interviews, carefully scripted confessions. But this story unfolds differently. There is no plea for approval here, only consistency. And consistency, over time, reshapes perception. As Paris Haute Couture Week continued across the city, new shows, new designers, and new faces would take the spotlight. But the opening morning left an imprint, a reminder that fashion moments can be cultural moments, that a single outfit, worn at the right time, in the right place, can shift a conversation. Lauren Sánchez ensured she stood out that morning, not by accident, not by excess, but by intention. And in doing so, she reminded the world of something quietly powerful. Visibility, when claimed on one's own terms, becomes authority. Accessorizing in equally distinctive fashion, Lauren Sánchez completed her look with a striking silver handbag. It was not just an accessory. It was a statement. Sculpted, reflective, and edged with gold flourishes, the bag was shaped to resemble a human face. Eyes, nose, expression, a surreal detail that immediately caught attention. This was not accidental styling. Schiaparelli is known for surrealism, for blending the human form with art, for creating objects that provoke curiosity and conversation. By choosing a handbag shaped like a face, Lauren Sánchez leaned directly into the house's identity. The message was subtle, but unmistakable. She was not just attending the show. She was participating in its language. The face-shaped bag symbolized observation, identity, and presence. In a room filled with people who watch and are watched for a living, it felt almost poetic, as if to say, I see you, and you see me. In fashion, symbolism often speaks louder than words, and this accessory did exactly that. While Lauren Sánchez embraced boldness and visual storytelling, Jeff Bezos chose restraint. Joining his wife, the Amazon founder arrived in a comparatively subdued black suit, paired with a matching black shirt and polished leather Chelsea boots. Clean lines, no excess, no ornamentation. A look that blended into the background while allowing her to remain the focal point. This contrast was intentional. In elite spaces, couples often communicate power dynamics through styling choices. Here, the message was clear. Jeff Bezos did not need to command attention. His presence alone carries weight. By stepping back visually, he allowed Lauren Sánchez to stand fully in the spotlight. It was a quiet gesture of support, and quiet gestures often carry the most meaning. At 62, Bezos has entered a different phase of public life. Once known for avoiding celebrity culture, he now moves comfortably within it. Fashion weeks, high-profile weddings, philanthropic galas. These appearances signal a man no longer defined solely by boardrooms and balance sheets. Instead, He appears increasingly at ease in cultural spaces. Together, Bezos and Sanchez represent a modern power couple shaped by scrutiny, survival, and strategic reinvention. Their relationship has endured intense public examination, yet they continue to show up together, visibly and confidently. That visibility is not accidental. Last June, the couple formalized their relationship in a lavish wedding on the Italian island of San Giorgio Maggiore, a place steeped in history, beauty, and exclusivity. The celebration spanned 3 days, a carefully curated event that blended romance with global attention. It was not a quiet affair. Celebrity guests included Ivanka Trump, Oprah Winfrey, and Kim Kardashian, figures from politics, media, and entertainment. Each guest represented a different sphere of influence, underscoring the couple's reach across industries and cultures. The wedding itself became a cultural moment, not because of excess alone, but because of what it symbolized. A relationship once framed by controversy, now publicly affirmed among some of the most recognizable figures in the world. It marked a turning point, a line drawn between past speculation and present certainty. From Italy to Paris, the progression feels intentional. First, the wedding. Then, carefully chosen public appearances. Now, front row at Haute Couture Week. This is not accidental exposure. It is narrative shaping. Lauren Sánchez, once viewed through the narrow lens of tabloid coverage, now occupies spaces defined by art, fashion, and influence. She does not speak often about the past. She does not correct critics. She simply moves forward, visibly and confidently. And that movement unsettles expectations. Because society often struggles with women who refuse to shrink under scrutiny, who do not retreat when judged, who continue to stand tall in rooms that were not designed with them in mind. At Schiaparelli, surrounded by editors, designers, and cultural tastemakers, Lauren Sánchez looked entirely at ease. The red suit, the sculptural bag, the steady presence of her husband beside her, all of it formed a cohesive visual narrative. This was not defiance. It was assurance. As Paris Haute Couture Week unfolded over the following days, new headlines would emerge, new outfits, new controversies. Fashion is always moving, always replacing yesterday's moment with today's spectacle. But opening mornings linger longer. They set the tone. And on that Monday morning in Paris, Lauren Sánchez ensured the tone was unmistakable, bold, controlled, unapologetically present. In the world of Hollywood, fashion, and power, image is never just image. It is language. And on this day, every detail spoke clearly. She was seen. She was centered. And she was exactly where she intended to be. The A-list appearance in Paris did not happen in isolation. It followed something far more personal. Something quieter. Something carefully chosen. Just days before stepping into the spotlight at Haute Couture Week, Lauren Sánchez shared a birthday video compilation on social media. It was not flashy. It was not defensive. It was intimate. A curated glimpse behind the curtain of a life that, for years, had been discussed far more than it had been understood. The video offered a behind-the-scenes look into her wedding celebration. Not the polished photographs already circulated across magazines and websites, but softer moments. Practice. Preparation. Stillness between chaos. One clip showed Sanchez rehearsing her walk in her unforgettable Dolce & Gabbana wedding dress. The fabric flowed as she moved, her posture focused, deliberate. It was a reminder that even the most photographed moments require discipline and repetition. Nothing is effortless. It is practiced. Another clip captured her smiling quietly on a balcony, the Eiffel Tower rising behind her. Paris again. The city now familiar in her visual narrative. But this time, there were no cameras crowding her. No flashbulbs. Just a woman standing still, absorbing a view that symbolizes romance, permanence, and history. It was not a performance. It was a pause. A third moment showed Sánchez wearing a face mask while exercising. No glamour. No staging. Just preparation. Physical effort. The unseen work behind visible moments. It hinted at the discipline that underpins appearances, often labeled as effortless or privileged. These clips did not scream luxury. They whispered intention. Accompanying the video was a caption that resonated far beyond fashion or celebrity culture. "If you had told me when I was a little girl this is what life would look like at 56, she wrote, "I'm not sure I would have believed you." The words were simple, reflective, almost disarming. There was no boasting, no triumphal tone, just quiet astonishment at the distance traveled between who she once was and who she has become. In Hollywood, reflection often feels scripted, but this felt different. Less about proving something to the public, and more about acknowledging the unpredictability of a life lived under constant observation. Lauren Sánchez went on to reflect on her marriage, her children, her book release, and her involvement in space exploration. World apart, yet woven together into a single narrative of expansion and grounding. She described these experiences as having grounded her in a way nothing else could. That word stood out. Grounded. Not elevated. Not empowered. Not triumphant. Grounded. It suggests stability, balance, a sense of self that no longer shifts with external judgment. For a woman whose life has been publicly dissected, reframed, and debated, grounding becomes a form of quiet victory. Her marriage to Jeff Bezos has placed her under a level of scrutiny few experience. Yet, rather than retreat, she appears to have leaned into structure, into intention, into a version of herself that no longer asks to be understood. The birthday video, much like her appearance at Schiaparelli, was not an attempt to change opinions. It did not address critics. It did not rewrite history. It simply showed continuity. A woman preparing. A woman reflecting. A woman moving forward. From a practiced walk in a couture gown, to a calm smile overlooking Paris, to a masked workout session far from cameras, the message was consistent. This life was built deliberately. And at 56, Lauren Sánchez is no longer explaining it. In the world of Hollywood exposés, scandals often burn bright and fast. But the stories that linger are the ones shaped slowly, over time, through repetition and presence. Paris. The wedding. The reflection. Each moment adds another layer. And as Haute Couture Week continues, as cameras search for the next spectacle, one thing becomes clear. Lauren Sánchez is not chasing moments anymore. She is curating them. And that may be the most revealing transformation of all.